What's up, guys? I made a quick tool that I want to show you guys uh, how quick or how much you essentially need to invest in order to maybe reach your dividend income goals. So what I currently did was really simply this year 1 through year 30, potentially onwards if you want to get to there, but I sort of have a 30-year timeline based off of what I kind of want to reach my goals. Uh, kind of base this off of myself, so I'm currently at about $3,600 in forward income in the next 12 months. You might have just seen my most recent video that I put out this morning. But really what I want to show you guys is, okay, if you have a goal or you kind of know around what income you are able to retire at, whether it's $30,000, $40,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year, you kind of back into, depending on where you are now, what kind of dividend or annual increases you need in terms of percentage, and if you reinvest your dividends, if you don't, kind of see how much you need to add every year and in order to get to your goals, right? So first and foremost, that's the tool, and let's get into it. So getting into the tool itself, I kind of wanted to use my example that I currently have. So before I did some of my more recent dividend investments, I was averaging just about 4%. Now I'm on the higher side of 4%, but I'd rather be more conservative considering that this doesn't have any inflation or anything built into it. So where I'm coming from is I know that my current income needed to live my lifestyle, not change anything. I technically need, like, my bare minimum to live would be around $2,500 based off of my income, or based off of what I spend, and without any luxury items. To have fun and have a good time, I'm probably spending about $3,600 a month after everything. So that includes my apartment, my car, things like that. So take that into account. I'm essentially able to live, free and clear, not after any taxes or anything like that. 1 month for free out of every year, which is good to know. But so what I would probably do first and foremost is figure out what your number is. I mean, I'll probably make a video on that based off of how to figure out what your number is, or how to sort of back calculate into it. I have my own, which maybe I'll share with you guys. But anyway, so I've basically calculated that I need about $3,600 a month for 12 months. That gets you to like $43,000. So I basically told myself, I need about $50,000 to be conservative, right? And then if you take the capital gains tax on that income, you're essentially going to need $62,000, right, for me to live after taxes and everything like that. So I need $62,000 to come in through the door, right? And so to get that $62,000 coming through the door, divided by your annual yield, I need about $1.7, $1.8 million after inflated dollars, which will probably be more, around 2 million, 2.5 million, maybe more than that, in order to retire. So that's a different story for a different day, like the withdrawal rate and the 4% rule, 5% rule, whatever. We'll get into that in a different day, but let's kind of look and see how you can kind of use this tool. So I already said years 1 through 30. Graphs here are dividends versus your years. So I'm looking at a 30-year horizon. So currently, with the inputs that I have right now, I'll get to about $11,000 a year in income, which is not sufficient enough to meet my goal. And then you're looking at the added principal per year to add in order to get an annual increase of this 4%. So you have your initial principal, You have your dividend income. You have your income from your reinvestment. So this is the 4% on this 3,600. And then you have your year-end income that you currently have. Adding this and this and this. And so, does that make sense? Yeah. So $3,600 times 4%, since you want your annual increase to be 4% in this example. In order to get that, since you're already getting income from your reinvestment of $126 per year, you only need to add $514 in order to meet your 4% gain, right? Now that would go up. You would have to add more principal if you essentially are anticipating getting a higher annual increase in your dividend pay. So if you want to go up 10%, 20%, it might start off, pretty manageable depending on what your current dividend income is. But I mean, 10, 20% is just going to compound just like your income will, right? So the added principal is also going to go up, and so that's why I kind of had this on the edge here so that you can keep track of that. So then you have your new principal that you would need, and then over here I have your total increase. So this will correspond with your years to double, which is just utilizing the rule of 72 divided by your annual increase in order to get how many years you need to double. Double your income, rather. So if you essentially say you're going to get increased by 72%, boom, every year you're going to double, right? So it's going to get wild. Not going to lie to you. Anyway, that's that. You'll see that your added principal is going to be astronomical, and you probably won't be able to meet that unless you're extremely wealthy. But let's just look at something like 10%, right? So that 10% is going to get me right close up to that 60-ish thousand that I need. Let's just do 11% because that'll get me there, right? Maybe that's too much. Let's look at 10.5. So every 7 years, I'm going to double my income, just if I was reinvesting it without any issues. So initially, I'll get $126 just from reinvesting my dividend income. I'm going to have to add a decent amount of principal in order to get to that 10% increase, right? So that 10% increase is going to be, get me to about $4,000 the next year, $4,400 the next year, and so on and so forth until I get to 30 years down the road, $65,000, which is essentially what I need to live, right? Now, one of the easiest things to do is income from your reinvestments. But imagine if you took that off, right? So I want you to look in this lower left-hand corner with your added principal per year. Your added principal per year immediately skyrockets up, right? Because you don't have the added investment from your dividends being reinvested to assist you in attaining more income, right? So nothing else really changes other than this, but immediately reflects in your total principal needed and how much added principal you have. So it's very interesting. It makes things a lot easier if you do it that way because you don't have to have as much. But so basically, this is pretty unsustainable, right? Like if you were to have 10% every year or 20% every year, it's really unsustainable, right? Like I showed you guys in my most recent video that I'm up 70% from 2015 to 2016, and then currently I'm up like 50-something% from 2016's dividend income numbers. It's because I'm at a lower range, right? Like I'm only at 3,600, so I've been adding a couple thousand, tens of thousands of dollars in principal every year, so I'm able to increase this a substantial amount. And I'll be able to probably continue to do that. But once I get to the point where, I'm getting into the tens of thousands of dollars of range, increasing $1,000 at 4%, that's going to be 20 grand. Like if you want to go from $10,000 to $11,000, that extra $1,000 will literally take you 20 grand, unless you find something, that's yielding you, 10%. Then it's really only going to take you, I don't know what that is. You guys know I'm not that good at math. What is that? I don't know, $10,000. Like, regardless. I mean, you're going to be looking at double digits of added principal just to get a decent bump. And then once you get into the point where you're starting to get multiple thousands of dollars per year, it's just going to get wilder and wilder, right? So every 7 years, it's just going to get more and more difficult because you're essentially going to have to double the income that you're essentially investing in order to meet your criteria. So basically what I'm trying to say is the higher, like, you'll be able to increase substantially immediately, right? Like, you'll probably, maybe, like, if you get started today, like, you probably will see, like, if I bring up my spreadsheet really quick, my official increases, like, my first year of, like, year-over-year growth was, like, 30,000, right? Like, I made 85 cents in 2013, and then I went up to 260, and I thought I was the king, right? Like, you look, think about it that way, it's like, yes, but it'll be the opposite of this, right? Like, imagine if this was a percentage, it'll be, let's say, 70,000%. It'll kind of come down like this, right? So you'll probably start off something really great, and then exponentially come down to maybe 100% the next year if you're really lucky, 50%. It'll just drop off really quick, and that's just because your volumes are increasing. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think if, as long as you strive to get to this, 5 to 11% goal, you're going to do a lot better than if you were to just not stick with it, right? So, my personal guidance would be, to try to get, to the $10,000 range, and then, you don't have to work as hard that way, right? Like, I'm just getting to the $10,000 range. If you're able to get to that as quick as possible, you literally can half the annual increase. Not half, but you would essentially be able to eliminate the majority of that annual increase percentage just by, getting as much as you can now, right? Like, if I'm on track to probably get $10,000 of passive income within the next 3 years, that puts me way up on this curve, and I don't have to work as hard in order to work as hard, meaning add more capital in order to get to the same spot as I need. And I could use that money to go have fun, or start a side business, or something along those lines. So, and another thing is, this 4% is probably in the middle of the middle of the road. It's not 2.5%, which is getting closer to what the S&P 500 yields, and it's not like 8%, which I would start getting scary if your average portfolio is yielding about 8%. You probably have some really scary or really leveraged items in there that would probably give me a little bit of fright. But anyway, I hope this tool is useful. I hope you would be able to build something like this on your own. Like I said, I was probably rambling, and this may or may not have helped you. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys about it. Looking forward to your comments down below. And I will see you guys next time. Alright guys, have a good night.